Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about superhero movies, especially the fairly recent successes of Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman, and how we believe it might have affected the rise of Skywalker. We're the Lords of the Sith. My name's Denise and I'm here with Mary.
Hello everyone.
Yeah, so it's I think it's something that a lot of people talk about Endgame and very similar moments, and we're going to talk about that as well. But I also think that these movies with main female characters had some influence, especially if you consider that Bob Iger was helping to with the Rise of Skywalker. They had some influence.
Yes, I do agree. I am most, especially in regards to like female characters and their romances. Definitely, especially when you like compare the Marvel characters like Captain Marvel, who doesn't really have a love interest in her movie, and then of course. Which we will get to later, but I am very much looking forward to talking about Black Widow and her betrayal in Endgame, especially later on, and compare it to Rey, because wow, ooh, Mary is not happy.
Yes. One thing that's interesting about Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman specifically is that they're origin stories. And when you have an origin story, it means that the character is not formed, is not really the character until the end of the movie. And I really do believe that they got a little bit of that idea with Rey, in the sense that she only gets her quote-unquote identity, right? Her yellow lightsaber, her Rey Skywalker. I hate it, but if you think about it, she gets it at the end, as if she were going to continue. And even people who like that ending, I've never seen somebody know her ending was great. People who like it say, oh no, she's not gonna stay there, she's gonna go and do adventures, so it's almost kind of like a new beginning, right? What do you think?
It really comes full circle. I think you mentioned this to me, like when we were talking off air, that the imagery behind that scene in Rise of Skywalker, and when Rey is at her end, she's found her identity, and they try and pass it off as like one of the things she's always wanted, but no, it's the end of her story. She's there looking at a sunset which symbolizes the end. She's there on her own. Basically she's there where she started. She hasn't really, what has she accomplished? She wanted a family. She wanted to get off Jakku, but she has, but she's gone to a desert planet which basically looks the same. It just feels like her story, just hadn't accomplished anything, unlike Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel.
Exactly. They go from 0 to 1, let's say, right? But I do think that they got this influence in a way, in the sense that they think she's forming... I disagree she forms a new identity. I just think they took these beats of the character finishing like for a new start and applied to her. But I agree with you that it was not a new start, right? If she was with the resistance and if they had plans or whatever, but her alone there. But it's something that you have with the superhero, right? Superheroes are lonely. Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman and lonely, and lots of superheroes are lonely because they're such unique people, So I think they got a little bit from that. Which is sad, because if you think about Luke ended with his friends, right? He wasn't alone, starting a new journey. You saw it as like completing a circle. In the case of Rey, she had 3 movies already. This was not a freaking origin story for Captain Rey Skywalker. So I think they really screwed up on that.
Captain Rey Skywalker.
Yes, I think they thought we're going to want to see more Rey Skywalker and her yellow lightsaber doing I don't know what. Yeah.
So I would also argue, I think it really, really vexes me, because there seems to be like a bit of an issue. Like, it's always the female characters that the female superheroes, I guess, that end up alone. Wonder Woman, of course. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Wonder Woman yet, and if you haven't seen it, please go and watch it because it's great. But at the end, Wonder, Steve Trevor, the man who she falls in love with, dies, and let's just say he has a much better sacrifice moment than our beloved Ben Solo. It's handled much more with care, and also with Captain Marvel, she goes, she leaves her friends behind to it is for a good reason. It's basically to go and help the aliens that she helped find. I've forgotten what they're called, but she wants to help them find a new home. And that's okay, you can understand that. It's a worthy cause, and it kind of hints that the story is going to continue from that. And of course, it does in Endgame. She comes back, but you also get the sense that there's going to be, a sequel set between Captain Marvel and Endgame. So we know her story's not over, but with Rey, it's over, and she's completely alone. And then of course, Black Widow. Oh, what to say, Black Widow? She ends up alone too, and it's a big when you compare it to like the male heroes like Iron Man. Iron Man again had a beautiful sacrifice moment, but he still had Pepper Potts. Captain America goes back to the past and lives his happy life with oh God, what's her name? Is it Peggy Carter or Sharon? Yeah, I can't remember the names, but yeah, he gets his lady eventually and has a happy life with her. Really kind of annoyed with this, that the woman seems to be getting the short end of the stick and has a tragic ending and ends up alone, while the man, the male superhero gets his cake, basically gets his cake and eats it too.
Yeah, I see how like that's like something that you could argue that in the case of Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel, they're still gonna have their stories and maybe they're gonna find something, right? Because they're in the beginning of their journeys. I find that people who liked Rey's endings feel that she's going to find her or whatever, or she's gonna be a Jedi. I find it funny when people say, oh no, she's a Jedi, she can't have relationships. Well, that was the problem in the prequels, I don't think that's meant to continue like that, but anyways, but I agree with you, and it's something that's a little, it's more on the women, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's again this notion that heroines can't have love interests because it sends a bad message, and they also can't be feminine either, because again they have to be masculine in order to be strong, right? I'm really, really sick of these tropes. But I will say the good thing about Wonder Woman is the great thing is she's more feminine. Like, she has that love. Her costume is beautiful. It's armor, but it's almost like an armor dress, if you will. Whereas Captain America, it's a full suit, and
Captain Marvel, but she's pretty.
Yeah. But then again, she is quite feminine in the first movie. She has her long hair. And then, of course, in Endgame, she cuts her hair really short, and I'm just wondering if that had something to do with the writers, because of course, Captain Marvel was co-written by a woman, and of course, Endgame were written by men. So I'm wondering if there was like a clash between feminine and masculine ideals there. So it's interesting to see how a woman handles how a heroine looks in comparison to a man.
I'll just say that I don't mind seeing a woman that's quote unquote more masculine, because some of us are like that. But at the same time,
yeah, I just feel like this trope is kind of like overused in fiction at the minute, that women can't be badass and strong unless they unless they show masculine tropes more and kind of like look down on feminine tropes. Yeah. I find it really, really annoying now.
I find it annoying. I think quote unquote masculine women are fine. you know, we can be like that too, but there's a whole range, right? But I'll just go back to Rise of Skywalker again and notice that there were many visual parallels that I find that they were directly inspired from superhero movies. We should have known in the first teaser when Rey's crouching like that. Have you ever seen a Jedi crouching like that? That's freaking like Wonder Woman. Where's her shield? I'm wondering where her shield is. And also she flips over in Wonder Woman there are lots of flips like that. I was watching some scenes from the movie, which is, it actually looks great.
Yeah, she jumps in that village and she smashes that, is it the clock tower? Yeah, she smashes the clock tower with her shield.
The Amazons do those flips, and it looks beautiful, and it makes sense for them because they're archers, right? So they're kind of flipping to get like better angles to shoot. But for Rey, it was a little pointless. But you mean also in the village?
Yeah, there was like a fight where she flips the tank, and she sees there's a sniper in, I think in the clock tower, if I remember correctly, and she does this kind of like massive, huge flip and smashes the shield into the clock tower, and that's kind of like, you know, like Rey doing that massive somersault and, you know, destroying Kylo Ren's TIE fighter. But my favourite one, my absolute favourite visual similarity is Rey. When she, you know, in that stupid I am all the Jedi moment, and she kind of like crosses her sabers to deflect, what's it, Palpatine's lightning back at him. It's exactly like Wonder Woman, you know, crossing her arms. You know, when she crosses her braces, and that massive energy comes out of her. It's even the same type of shot. You know, like you know, you can clearly see her sabers, just like you can clearly see Wonder Woman's crossing her braces. Yeah, come on, that shot is definitely inspired by Wonder Woman.
And plus Wonder Woman also reflects the lightning, and also her enemy also takes lightning from the sky before. And also I would say that superhero movies, even Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel, they show effort. They do things with effort, you know, whereas Jedi, we've never seen them doing effort. They're like, I mean, I guess sometimes when Luke fighting Vader, you know, and being angry, but they're light, they're graceful. It's more like Chinese movies, you know, like, but superheroes, no, they're heavy, they do things with effort, their faces are almost angry, and that's when when she takes that second saber to cross, it looks like she's taking like a freaking Thor's, because it's so heavy, you know. How much does that weigh? Like, she takes that heavy, you know, and that heaviness and an expression that's directly derived from superhero movies, for sure.
Oh yeah, but I also want to point out that, you know, like her, maybe the Palpatine, you know, the Rey Palpatine thing was inspired a bit like by Wonder Woman, because you know, we know that Ares is her heart. Is it Ares? I think it is the Ares. You know, David Thewlis's character. He's her half brother.
Ares.
And Ares. Thank you. That's the one. Yeah, he's her half brother, and you know, his special weapon is lightning, and you know, we it's kind of like hinted at that, you know, you know, they kind of are related, or they at least have some connection there. And of course, you know, she you know, it's a familial rivalry, I guess, and that's what happens with Rey. You know, even though it was hinted at poorly in the Rise of Skywalker, coming out of nowhere, you know, Palpatine is kind of built up as this enemy, as this, you know, evil relative that Rey must defeat, and of course she does defeat him. And I wonder when JJ started writing the script with Terrio, they immediately looked to Wonder Woman for inspiration on that. You know, not just with the shots, but with the story.
I think it was unconscious, because if they actually, I was thinking if they copied it, it would have been actually wonderful. Because what happens in Wonder Woman is that when Steve sacrifices, she gets angry and goes to the dark side. She gets it could have happened when Ben falls down. You know, she could have getting really angry, and Rey has no reaction. But so and then
she doesn't really have a reaction to much in that film, does she?
Yeah, whatever. But so basically, when Steve dies, Wonder Woman gets really angry and kind of goes, and then she wants to kill Dr. Poison. But then she looks at her friends, and she kind of learns compassion, and she ends with compassion, which is very beautiful and very Jedi-like. She's more Jedi than Rey in The Rise of Skywalker. But so if they had copied this idea of compassion, and then she ends, there's good and bad in all of us, if they had copied it more, it would have been better,
Yes,
but yeah,
I agree.
they only copied the physical aspects without any meaning. Also, something interesting, Wonder Woman is defeated in the beginning, and she's lying down on the ground, and it's very blue. That's also very similar to Rey. But what happens is that she looks, and that's when she sees her friends. She sees Steve, and she's like, oh, there's love in them. So she gains some insight, something meaningful. Meanwhile, while Rey's there, the Jedi show up like cheerleaders, American cheerleaders. I wonder if they have the pom-poms. Go, Rey, go! You can do it! Go, Rey, go! That's all they do. There is no spiritual idea, insight.
Someone make a fan art of that, please.
there's no insight, and that's something that's with superhero too. With superheroes, it's your power. You find your power, and that's the idea. Go, Rey, go! She finds her power. Maybe with the old Jedi, whereas with Star Wars, Luke lets go and trusts something bigger. It's not about the ego. I am powerful. It's more about letting go. And they don't do the Jedi thing. They do more like a superhero. But Wonder Woman is better because she learns about love. She gets a beautiful insight. So I'm just saying they should have just copied it. It would have been better, but they didn't copy it all.
Or they should have just got, they should have just got Patty Jenkins to write and direct Rise of Skywalker. It would have been so much better.
Oh yeah, see, that's a good idea. And so yeah, I agree. And because it's a beautiful movie, it has a message in her moment of compassion. It's so beautiful. And Dr. Poison is much worse than Ben Solo, but even then, when we watch the movies, yes, she deserves compassion. It's amazing. And well, okay, but there's another moment in the Rise of Skywalker where we get visual parallels when they are fighting over the Death Star, that she jumps and lands crouching, and the camera shakes. The camera is very close to the ground and shakes when she lands. That's a signature Marvel move. I was noticing Wonder Woman doesn't have that. I took a look at some scenes in Batman versus Superman and stuff, and they don't use that either. It's very Marvel. Camera close to the ground, superhero jumps, lands in a crouch with one hand down, camera shakes, and then they look up. And that's exactly what Rey does in that, which again, that's not what Jedi do. Jedi are light, they're graceful. If you look at the prequels and they jump, they land gracefully like a dancer or whatever, and not heavy, that's what I say. Superheroes is always heavy, and which it's about power, right? Which makes sense, but they did that in that, which I hated it.
You mean the actual scene itself, or just the shot?
The scene.
Wow, I'm really trying to rack my brain. I mean, I liked the visual elements of it with the sea, because the sea was kind of showing the turbulence of Rey and Kylo's relationship.
Yes.
But at the same time, JJ just completely just did not understand. I mean, we used to talk about JJ being the king of Reylo and the original, the OG Reylo. He's not. He's not. I mean, you have you have them basically trying to kill each other. Especially Rey, and the fact that she stabs him, and then it's so jarring. It's such a jarring scene. I like it for the imagery, but maybe for the emotional aspects. I mean, I guess you could compare it to that Wonder Woman scene, because she does get all angry. But and then of course, she finds compassion and heals Ben because of Leia's death.
It's
but
so weird.
The emotional weight is it's weird. The emotional weight is just not there, because Rey and Leia, what is their relationship? I mean, Is it teacher and student? Is it mother and daughter? We're never really given time for those two characters to develop. The character that Rey has the most development with is Kylo, but there she is, getting all angry at him. That I wouldn't be surprised if they drew unconscious parallels towards Wonder Woman, but the emotional weight is just not there.
Well, I don't think it's similar to Wonder Woman. I think it's similar to Marvel, and just the jumping and the crouching. That's what I think, That's how I feel about that scene. Because it's not even in DC movies, that specific shot, crouch, camera shakes. But I feel that the fact that they're mixing this, that's the problem. Superheroes and Jedi, they're very different. And the fact that they're mixing these different things that don't really make a lot of sense, it causes some confusion. And maybe that's why I guess she's so aggressive all the time. Maybe they're taking from that, I guess. Something else that I wanted to notice was that she has a training montage, Rey, in the beginning. And Luke also had a training, right, in Empire Strikes Back. But was it was it physical? It wasn't really physical. It was more like spiritual, I would say. And whereas Rey, it's more physical. It's just the beginning. In the beginning, when she's trying to connect with the Jedi, it's more like a skill that she doesn't achieve in the beginning and achieves in the end. And even though she achieves in the end, it's not about some enlightenment or some knowledge or some spiritual growth that would allow her to do it. It's physical and it's a skill. And that's something that you take from superhero movies. And I think also when she meets Zuri, that she's like at that meeting, the two of them like facing off, which is stupid because Zuri has a gun. If she's much faster, but I think it's about showing Rey as a badass, which is not really what she needs to be. She was already shown to be a badass in The Force Awakens, fighting on her own, but and it's more of her trajectory is different, and I think being a Jedi is not about being a badass but rather something different, except maybe look a little bit in the Legends. You think like he was really like that much of a badass?
Yeah, he was. He became like very, very powerful in the Force. I haven't read Legends in so long. I've actually forgotten what he did, but yes, he basically became I think Super Luke by the time Legacy of the Force rolled around, but he was still Luke. He still believed in the compassion of the Jedi, and he even like evolved the Jedi Order. In comparison to what it was in the prequels, it was an accident by the Rises, of course, but you could still see the development in it. He allowed Jedi to love and marry and have children as he himself did, which was beautiful. It wasn't just a kind of like a cult anymore. I guess he allowed them to join the Order from free out of free will whenever they wanted. He didn't take children from their families. He allowed them to have families and love and
Yeah, I think that's what I would like to see with the future of the Jedi if they were to continue. We don't even know that. It's not even clear in the end of the Rise of Skywalker, but that there is this evolution. So that's why I say, Rey's not going to marry because she's a Jedi. Even when they say, oh, no, of course Luke was going to be single because he's a Jedi. No, I don't think that was going to be the understanding. So just to go back to the movies, something else that we see in Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel is the power fantasy, especially Captain Marvel when she gets back her powers. Like she takes that thing that was pushing her down and then she gets her powers back. I think it's a cool scene. It's exciting. I enjoyed watching it. There's a similar scene in Thor Ragnarok, which I love, when he's like, "Oh, I'm not the god of hammers," and he gets super powerful. And I think it's so cool, the characters coming in contact with their own power, but it has nothing to do with a Jedi. A Jedi is not about I've got the power. It's more about something spiritual. And I found that I thought that they tried to do this with Rey when she was defeating Palpatine. That she was, even though yes, there are the Jedi, but like I said, it's not about trusting something bigger. They were there like to make her trust herself and be strong, you know, and all the movements are strong.
That reminds me, like with Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel has a training montage with Jude Law at the beginning. He's sort of her mentor, and you know she can't really control her powers when she's angry, and he keeps telling her this. He's basically like a prequel Jedi, you know, like control your anger, control your power, you know, be emotionless, and you'll be able to control it. But you know, it's sort of you know what her power is. Her power is this kind of like, you know, powerful, you know, I don't know what you call it, pyrotechnic, I think, you know, fire that she can shoot out of her arms and stuff, and you know she can fly with it too, and it's fun, but you have a sense that, you know, she feels trapped with her you know, like emotionless facade that she's forced to put on, but she also like kind of can't control her powers when she's angry. So but with you know, which, you know, and you get that she's going on a discovery basically on finding herself and finding, you know, how to control her powers, and through that she finds herself. But with Rey, you know there's scenes where, you know, you see Dark Rey saying, "Don't be afraid of who you are." You know, she even says to Finn, "No one knows me." She's kind of afraid of, you know, like using the dark side. But why is she afraid of using the Force? What are her powers? Is it just because, you know, she's a relative of Palpatine and that's where her anger issues come from? Yeah, yes, but I think so. But you don't really. It's just not there. You don't really see her going through a discovery of finding her powers, and even if it like tries to come across that way, it just doesn't do it very well like Captain Marvel does. You know, like, is she afraid of mind controlling people accidentally? Is she afraid of shooting lightning with without control? I mean, we even see her shoot lightning at the transport, and Kylo later says to her, I pushed you to see it, I needed you to see that. But then we never ever see her shoot lightning again. So what is her power? You know, why is she afraid of using it? It's such a mess, you know. So yeah, they really screwed up on that.
I agree with you. I think, yeah, this idea of understanding her powers and controlling her powers comes from these superhero movies, but they don't. I mean, they get these ideas from these movies, but they don't execute them well. So that's, yeah, first of all, they don't fit in Star Wars. That's one point. But second point, they don't develop it. So, you know, even if I say, oh, they made a Marvel movie. No, they didn't. They're saying, oh, they're turning Star Wars into Marvel. Well, no, because it's not. It sucks, you know. I would hate for Star Wars to be Marvel. But if The Rise of Skywalker had been Marvel, it would have been better than what they gave us, which was nothing, you know.
Do you know what? This is actually a topic that I thought they would tackle in The Last Jedi. I honestly thought that basically in Battlefront 2, one of Rey's power cards is mind control, and one of her special abilities is to like kind of like she uses a mind trick on her enemy, and then the actual player who's controlling that character, their controls are scrambled. So if you had to press X to swing a lightsaber, you just in that brief second you would have to, it could have changed to the triangle button, for example, you know, in gameplay sense. And I actually thought that was a clue for what for what Last Jedi might be, that Rey was beginning to like, you know, lose control of her powers, and Luke was afraid of her because you know, in her anger she would like lash out and maybe accidentally mind control him, or mind control a Porg or something. That would have been funny. And Luke says, "No, you remind me too much of Kylo Ren. I'm not going to train you." And so who else can Rey turn to but to Kylo Ren, who of course, you know, like completely, you know, loves her power, you know, for her, and so their relationship would like develop through that. So that was what my predictions for Rise of Skywalker. Sorry, I keep getting Rise of Skywalker mixed up with The Last Jedi. That was what I thought would happen in The Last Jedi, and it would focus on Rey's power coming out of control, and Kylo would help her control it, and through that she would find out more about him and become more compassionate towards him. Obviously that's not what we got, but you know what, I think if they had done that and it had been handled, you know, in a good way, it could have worked. It could have fit in with the themes of Star Wars, you know, like with compassion and forgiveness.
Yes, that's why I find that Wonder Woman, it's more in line with Star Wars, with compassion, and, you know, than actually what they did with the Rise of Skywalker. That's why I say, oh, they should have just copied it. You know, if they wanted to copy, just copy it properly. But I agree with you, this idea of controlling the powers, understanding the powers, like, because I guess it's so interesting because it's like a metaphor for us understanding ourselves, and also sometimes even understanding our powers, right? You're talking about that with Captain Marvel. I find that a lot of women identified with that because they're told not to be emotional, not to yell. The only thing that I would comment is that the emotions that she's told to keep back, that are quote-unquote negative, are emotions that are usually associated with men. Aggression and stuff. There are no like quote unquote feminine emotions, but at the same time women get a lot more flack for the same emotions. Like if a woman yells, she's hysterical. If a man yells, you know, there's this double standard. So I can see how that is interesting.
I mean, even cockiness as well. Even cockiness as well, because, you know, like, we see when she's trying to escape those aliens, and she has those big, like, iron things on her fists so she can't properly, like, shoot her powers. She's getting dead cocky, and she's making these faces at the aliens. And, you know, probably, I personally think that's one of the funniest scenes in the film, but some people, if it was a man, they'd find that pretty charming and funny, but with a woman, I think they'd find it annoying.
Maybe, yeah, I agree. I thought it was a fun movie. If you want to talk a little bit about Captain Marvel, it didn't focus so much on her. She's very, very powerful, so it's a little difficult to make something interesting, but it focused on her, like this mystery, her solving who she is, which is interesting. And I really liked the aliens, you know, and their story and the revelation. I thought that was really cool. But I didn't think it was that much of a feminist movie, because at the same time, if they had put a man for the it wouldn't have made any difference in the story. It would have been exactly the same movie, except they wouldn't put like riot girl music and feminist music and do this, which is fine, because, you know, like women grew up watching men and identifying with men. So I guess it's cool to put a woman in this very masculine, let's say, you know, role for women to identify with. It's very cool, but at the same time, she's more like of a gender neutral character, I find.
No, I agree with you. That's what my point was with. I'm kind of like, you know, that there's like I said before, I'm kind of tired of like the, you know, the masculine female heroine. You know, it's fine. Don't, you know, it honestly is fine. But at the same time, I just find it overdone, because because it's so overdone, I find that, you know, it just keeps, I know I keep repeating myself, I'm sorry guys, but it just reinforces the tropes that women can't be strong without being masculine. If they're feminine, they're weak. You know, if they don't, you know, punch people, they're automatically weak. You know, we've seen this in Game of Thrones when we compare you know, like Arya and Sansa, for example. It's just
yeah, but
it frustrates me. It really does.
I was just gonna say that I don't think Game of Thrones is, at the beginning that's what you think, but it really reversed the trope, because with time you start learning that Sansa is the one that's feminine, she knows songs and stuff. You learn that it's a strength that allows her to, you know, be in court, and I guess in the next book she's gonna start manipulating, so her feminine traits are actually her strength. And the bigger master Littlefinger, he has more like quote-unquote feminine qualities as well, and he's the big bad. So I think it kind of subverts it in a way, but I can see how that is like, yeah, Arya is good because she fights like a boy, Sansa is bad because she likes dresses. No, that's not
That's exactly what I mean. You like some of the reaction. I know Sansa became more beloved as the show went on, But I know it. But at the beginning of Game of Thrones, when season 1, season 2 came out, people hated Sansa, you know, for that. Among other things, and you know they said, oh yeah, Arya's the best because she doesn't want to conform to these gender stereotypes, and she hits people, and she has a cool sword, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, but it's overdone, and just because Sansa doesn't wield a sword and instead uses her feminine charms doesn't mean doesn't make her any less you know, weak. She's just as strong as Arya, but in a different way. That's my problem, you know. That's my problem. But I was going to say that with Captain Marvel, you know, some people have kind of like, including Brie Larson, some people kind of like see a romantic connection between her and her best friend Maria, you know, with that look they shared together at the end. And yeah, do you know what? When I watched it the other night, I kind of thought, when she, during the end, when she left to help the aliens find a new home, I kind of thought, that is basically, I basically got you know, a man leaving his wife and kid to go off to war and find glory, basically. Mm-hmm. So that's, you know, like a big masculine trope that was presented in Captain Marvel, because that you know, that was what I got from that.
Yeah, I liked their friendship. I thought it was really cute, and if there is something romantic, I like the idea. However, usually for male characters, when they have a romantic interest, it creates conflict, and we don't have that conflict. And she leaves, and she doesn't even care. She barely says bye. It's like, see ya, bitches. You know, I don't care. Which is like, so even if they were just friends, it's a little callous, I think, and not, you know, so she just doesn't care, you know. Wait, what?
Yeah, especially when, you know, like, Maria has that big speech saying, oh, you know, 6 years ago I lost my best friend, and now I've just found her again. You're the best person I know. And then she just goes and leaves her. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Pretty cold, Captain Marvel, pretty cold. But also, I agree with you, like,
yeah,
if there is a sequel, whether it's set before Endgame or after Endgame, and they decide to go the romantic route, because I really did think they left it open to see what the reaction was.
Maybe.
And yeah, and I just hope if they go down the romantic route, I hope it isn't this, you know, like, cutesy little romance in the background. I want conflict. I want Maria to be angry at Captain Marvel for leaving and for taking so long to come back, because that will create conflict.
Yeah, in the movie I really liked when she was confronting her. You laughed. I thought, wow, this is great, you know. Even if you say, oh no, they're just friends, this is great. This is a great relationship. This is creative, and this is like emotional, right? And then she just leaves, and you have to think about Maria. Yeah, she's a pilot, but at the same time, the fact that she has a daughter and she has this domestic thing that's more, quote unquote, feminine, right? And that's the kind of thing that Captain Marvel just leaves behind, because I guess it's not as interesting as going there and fighting, which, okay. Oh my god. Yeah, it's a cool movie. It's a fun movie, and people enjoy it. So it has music from the 90s. So like, I'm old, so I know all those songs. So that was really cool. Do you know the songs in Captain Marvel?
Yeah. I was born in the 90s.
Well, but you could know the songs. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know some songs from the 70s. Come on, and the 60s and the 50s. Come on, but yeah, it's a cool, fun movie. But at the same time, it's not. I find it weird when they're praising it as this huge feminist thing. Yes, it's cool to see a female heroine, but at the same time,
I agree. But I'm also just going to go out on a limb here and say I actually prefer Captain Marvel's relationship with Jude Law's character, because it just reminded me a little bit of Raylo in a little way. I mean, obviously Jude Law doesn't have quite the same respect that Kylo has for Rey, but I can definitely see like a beautiful enemies to lovers relationship and a redemption arc for Jude Law in the works, because he has feelings for her. He's definitely attracted to her. Jude Law plays it very well. I mean, there's even he even says, "Oh, I gave her my blood when she was injured in that plane crash. I know he only wanted to keep her alive, but there's a connection. There's a connection there." And he even says to her when after she beats the Kree military how proud he is of her, and he wants to fight her, and of course she kicks his ass, which is hilarious. Oh god, there was another scene. Oh yeah, that was it, when she's talking to the Supreme Intelligence, and the Supreme Intelligence kind of tortures her a little bit. There's a shot of his face and he looks worried. He genuinely looks worried, and maybe you could argue was there a little bit of conflict in his mind there? Would he have actually rescued her if Captain Marvel hadn't rescued himself? So I doubt they'll ever do it. But no. Again, yeah, the idea of it for me personally again plays into the female fantasy where like Rey, you can redeem the bad boy, and he can have a redemption arc. And it'll also make for a beautiful story.
I would like to see a redemption arc, not necessarily a romance, because redemption arcs are always cool. And also, they create complex relationships, right? So something more complex between them would be really cool because they have a story, right? I find just that he's meant to be like every man who's ever underestimated a woman. I find that when she's like, I don't need to prove anything to you, people find him as all the guys who were mean or whatever. But yeah, but that's not cool, right? You want to have complex characters and exploring this complexity, even just as a friendship would be interesting. I can see that, but I don't think they're gonna explore it. It's gonna be, I don't know what's the next movie gonna be, because if they just do Captain Marvel kicking ass, it's gonna be super boring, right?
Yeah, but again, when I compare it to Reylo, again, it kind of it again shows that Batman can get Catwoman. The male hero can get the sexy hot villainess and redeem her and live happily ever after with her. But the heroine, can she redeem the bad boy? Is she allowed to have the bad boy and that fantasy? It again, kind of like Rise of Skywalker, pretty much poops on that and says no, women must be alone, or they must have a cute non-problematic relationship, otherwise it sends a bad message for little girls. So yeah, in a perfect world I would love if they explored their relationship in a sequel, but I know they're never going to do it because they're too afraid to.
Yeah, I think that it's this idea that things are problematic is problematic for fiction, right? Because you have to explore these things that are not real, and that can be hugely metaphorical, right? You can't go on a one-to-one. But yeah, I think Captain Marvel is a very safe movie, which is very strange that people get so angry at it. But I prefer Wonder Woman, right? Don't you?
Yeah. I prefer Wonder Woman. Captain Marvel is very plot heavy. And you enjoy Marvel's discovery, or Carol. I guess you enjoy her discovery, of recovering her memories and controlling her powers, because it's written well, unlike Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
But with Wonder Woman, there's just this kind of it's just this special thing. I think because again it focuses maybe a little bit more on the female gaze, and Wonder Woman is very feminine, yet she's also powerful. She is kind of belittled a little bit, but she rises above it and shows all these men in a very tasteful way how powerful she is. and they all completely respect her.
I love that scene in the village of Velt where she is fighting and there is that machine in the tower, up there in the tower, and Steve remembers when he was with the Amazon's shield, and then he gets his friends to put that platform for her to step on and jump high, and that's so symbolically beautiful, right? I guess that's what is the ideal of this relationship, that he sees what he needs and he supports her to jump higher, and that's amazing.
Yeah, and
right?
you know, like my favorite scene is when she's in the trench. And of course, you know, like when all the men see her, that they're just, you know, and see how, you know, how she deflects the bullets. They're all so like, just awed, and they get that, you know, they get their courage back. She gives them their courage back, and that, you know, they're so that, you know, and it gives them the strength to like go back onto the battlefield, and that's, you know, so empowering. It's amazing. It's such a wonderful scene. Whereas with Captain Marvel, I don't think there is such a scene.
No, but it's about her finding her own powers, right? But with Wonder Woman, she's in that place with only women, and then she has to go to the land of men, and there is something metaphorical that I find is very interesting about it. And her mother is saying, no, they don't deserve you, you know, and she's debating whether she can belong in that place, and whether she can help these people, you know, she can. And then in the end she's like, oh, it's about love, you know, it's not about deserve. And I think there's this metaphor about women and men in a way, but in a way that there is some animosity, let's say, but it ends up in a beautiful way. It's about love.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, both movies like focus on you know their development, whereas Rise of Skywalker, what can we say about Rey's development?
Oh, she learns to listen. She turns on the radio to the right frequency to get the Jedi cheerleading for her. Yay, she does that. Yep. Yeah, in the beginning she's trying to tune into the Jedi, and then in the end she got it. Even though, and that's something interesting. Usually, when you have a character that doesn't have a skill, usually something happens for them to be able to achieve it, and not even that happens in the Rise of Skywalker. It's a dumb skill. I'm sorry. Yeah, listening to the Jedi is cool, but yeah, nothing happens for the change.
Yeah, don't forget Luke saying, "Oh, you were the good girl. You resisted the dark side. Well done, you."
Maybe, yeah. I guess that's it, right?
Yeah. What? Yeah, but it's just done so superficially. You resisted the bad boy. Good for you. Oh my god.
You're so good. You finished what you started. You actually stabbed Kylo. I couldn't do it. Congratulations. Oh my god.
Oh my god. That is the perfect phrase to describe Rise of Skywalker. Just, oh my god. I was going to talk, you know, briefly about Black Widow and how, if you don't mind us switching to Black Widow, you know, I mentioned that I was gonna talk about her. Well, basically, don't get me wrong, I love Black Widow and I love Scarlett Johansson, but she is basically, I wonder if Rey was also kind of modelled after her, because Black Widow is the only woman in the group of men that is the Avengers, you know, and of course Rey is you know, basically in Rise of Skywalker she just has Finn and Poe, you know, as her comrades. She's, you know, again, it's the masculine traits with male characters. There's no other woman in sight, which is really annoying, especially as, you know, we know they were meant to have she was meant to have scenes with Rose, but they were cut out. So there's no kind of like female camaraderie in Rise of Skywalker, even though we were promised that there would be. And it's kind of the same with Black Widow. She's the token female, I guess, and she's kind of like tossed around a little bit as the, you know, the love interest for basically all of them. Like in the first Avengers, it's heavily hinted that Black Widow has feelings for Hawkeye. I'm sorry, you cannot convince me otherwise. She goes to Loki, who has Hawkeye under his control, and tries to figure out, you know, how to you know, release him, and she does it very cleverly actually. She manages to fool, you know, the trickster, and get the information out of him, which was very clever. But then in like one of the Captain American movies, I think she's I can't remember if they even kiss in one of the movies. I can't remember, but she's kind of like hinted at that she's his love interest in one of them. And then of course, you know, she's in Age of Ultron and Endgame as well. She's kind of like paired off with the Hulk, which is even more frustrating because, like I've just said, I will always believe that Joss Whedon set up Hawkeye and Black Widow to be romantic. But then in Age of Ultron, out of nowhere, Hawkeye is married and he has kids. And I'm like, where the hell did that come from? And Black Widow's kind of like, let's pair her with one of the Avengers. Oh, let's pair her with the Hulk because he has no love interest. And you're just like, where on earth did this come from? And yeah, I'm sorry, let me continue. And it reaches full circle in Endgame. Oh my god, I'm sorry. When they go to seek the Soul Stone, it's an emotional scene. Don't get me wrong, but my god, is it framed as romantic? And it feels so weird because we know Hawkeye is married and wants his family back. It's his reason for doing this, and yet just before they fight, in order to save one another, they have that really sweet scene where they kind of like bump heads and look like they're gonna kiss in front of a beautiful sunset to say goodbye. And I'm like, you cannot tell me that is not romantic. What are you guys doing? And not only that, but at the beginning of the movie, she's her one biggest regret is not finding Hawkeye and stopping him from killing all these horrible people as a result of Thanos snapping his family out of his existence. And she wants to save him because he saved her. But again, it's so hinted at that she has romantic feelings for him, and yet they try and pair it. They try so hard to make it platonic, and I'm using air quotes here, platonic. But it just, the way they frame it and film it with a friggin' sunset in the distance before they try and kill each other. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. It's again another example that you're either a heroine is the lone heroine in a group of males and can't have a love interest. It's just the trope annoys me so much. I'm sorry, guys. And that's how it feels with Rey in Rise of Skywalker. That's how it feels because she's with Finn and Poe. The super the trio, the super trio adventure time. And of course, Kylo dies at the end. So she's left alone.
But I actually find that Rise of Skywalker focuses on her relationship with Kylo and her attraction for him that's just kind of trying to deny, and I think it focuses more on that. They did it poorly, the way she's so aggressive. I mean, they could have done it her aggressive, but then explain later dark side, whatever. Maybe she was being consumed by the dark side and he could have helped her, whatever. It could have been good. But then it's just the way that he just dies, that's just so dumb. Like, we have like a sacrifice, like we have a sacrifice in Wonder Woman that's done well, but it's not even a sacrifice, it's just boom, disappear. I think it was maybe decided last minute. Maybe he was gonna die, but differently, whatever. I'm pretty sure it was something that was decided last minute and makes no sense. But I would say that her love interest is very clear in that movie. And also something that's very interesting that I find is Oscar Isaac is a very great actor, and Poe is somebody I ship Poe with everybody and everything he interacts with.
I ship Poe with myself.
Yeah, well, but I think in his scenes with Ray, there is no romantic tension. He looks obnoxious to her, but Oscar Isaac is a very good actor, and I really think he made it so that people wouldn't look at them and think there was a thing. Because if you wanted it to be a thing, oh yeah, in one scene you can make you can make people ship them, you know. So I think there was this scare of not making her. This Poe and Ray, and I think Oscar Isaac did well there, and I guess maybe Daisy as well. They're acting. They don't seem that they don't look that like they're into each other at all.
Yeah, but then of course they spend the whole like movie together anyway with Finn, and that they never argue again basically. So I don't know. But another movie that I wanted to like bring up, another superhero movie or supervillain movie is you could call it, is actually Birds of Prey. I really enjoyed Birds of Prey, especially because especially after like Rise of Skywalker, because it has women fighting together and supporting each other. There's great female camaraderie between Harley Quinn and Cassandra Cain and Renee Montoya and Black Canary and there was another one. Oh yeah, Huntress. They they all see you believe the friendships between them. Yeah, their relationships are so wacky and out there, and it's hilarious, but it's still great to see. It was still absolutely great to see women teaming up and looking out for each other and just kicking butt, and it spoke to me in a way that Ray never really. I don't really know. Basically, it spoke to me in a way that Rise of Skywalker never did, because I really, really wanted Ray to have, some camaraderie with Rose. The only female we kind of like, the only female character we see Ray ever interact with really is Leia, and even then that relationship isn't really that well developed. But yeah, I know it would have been just a small scene, but still, it would have been really nice to see. And even then, in Colin Trevorrow's script, because Rose would have a big role to play.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if there were any scenes with her and with them two together, but it still would have felt, they're on the same side. It still would have felt, like female camaraderie there. And it really, and Rise of Skywalker really, really lacked that. It just felt, like with Black Widow just being it just felt like, a group of heroes can only have one girl. And that's what I really enjoyed about Birds of Prey, like a group of women being friends and kicking butt.
I haven't seen it yet, but I think I love to see women together. I guess in The Rise of Skywalker, she could have been friends with Zori, but we don't see that. They're more like adversaries, right? Which is a pity also, And also with Jenna, they also never interact. That's quite interesting. So there are other women. It's almost each.
Oh, that's right.
Each woman is with their man. God.
Yeah. Like I honestly completely forgot about Janna. That's how much Rise of Skywalker sucks. But they actually, I think they sort of like, for the marketing for Rise of Skywalker, Kelly Marie Tran and Naomi Ackie did a lot of interviews together, and also I think they did one with Daisy Ridley, I think. So I think they were like sort of pushing it for the marketing, like you're going to see these women kick ass, and then of course at the end there's nothing. Not that there's anything wrong, I love, not that there's anything wrong with couples battling together. That's why we love Reylo, and one of the reasons why the standoff against Palpatine was so disappointing, because it's built up and built up and built up that they're going to fight and win together, and then Kylo is just yeeted off the cliff, and Super Rey has to take up the mantle. But at the same time, it would have been nice to see just like a little scene with the women together, or even just having fun, talking, maybe making fun of Finn a little, or the men or something. It just would have been nice, is all I'm saying.
Yes, it would. It's interesting that you brought up her defeating Palpatine alone, right? I think that also comes from these movies, because in these movies the woman has the showdown alone, right? Because it's a superhero movie. But in the case of the sequel trilogy, it was so much about Rey and Kylo, and it's so much about the Skywalkers that, you know, it doesn't make sense for her to defeat Palpatine alone. It should have been her and Kylo at the same time. And that doesn't mean she's less, you know, that doesn't mean, it's not demeaning to work together with somebody, you know, it's not the same. And even if you think about it, Wonder Woman, yes, she has that last showdown against Ares, but her friends are helping her, and Steve is helping her and is doing his part, so there is teamwork there. It's not she's much better, you know. So yeah,
exactly. You know, Steve contributes to it. Like he gives her the strength to, like, you know, because she's there lying on the ground trapped, and she doesn't have the will to fight, and he sacrifices himself to give her the will, to give her will back to fight. So it's a beautiful scene. And yet with Kylo, he's just, you know, like, yeeted off the cliff in order to give Super Rey the badass scene.
Yeah,
you know, he didn't want, you know, I think JJ didn't want him to kill her mojo, and it's so poorly done.
And that's this idea of female power fantasy that I think they thought, because these movies, Captain Marvel was quite successful, so I guess they think, oh, women want to see power fantasies, right? So they can cut out Kelly Mary Tran, they put Palpatine to explain her powers, but we're gonna cheer for her power moment. Well, no, no, that's not how it works. So, I think it definitely comes from inspiration, poorly taken inspiration from these movies.
Yeah, and what's ironic is most Reylos loved, not myself definitely, we love Reylo because the power fantasy presents them as being equals. We know from The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi that Kylo completely respects Rey and her power. He's not threatened by it, and he's not threatened by the fact that she's a woman. He loves it about her, and that is, you know, that is one of the many things why so many people were drawn to their the potential of their relationship in The Force Awakens, because it was, you know, because of that, and because it's, you know, like a really empowering female fantasy thought.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite sexy, and like trying to imagine, you know, like the girl on equal footing with the sexy villain. Yes.
That's a power fantasy as well. So yeah, it's a power fantasy too. It's not the same power fantasy as in Captain Marvel, you know. The Captain Marvel power fantasy doesn't fit in the sequel trilogy, you know. They're trying to put pieces that don't fit together and adapting them very poorly as well on top of everything. Yeah, so is that it for today?
Yep, I don't have anything else to add.
Okay, so we're going to finish. If you have any opinions about these movies, if you watch them or comments, leave a comment. It's a lot of fun to read your comments.
I love reading comments. Please keep me healthy and fat with the comments, guys.
Yeah, it's so much fun stuff, like amazing stuff. That I think it's the best comment section on YouTube. So humble. But anyways, you can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and you can listen to us on SoundCloud and iTunes, and you're obviously here on YouTube. Thank you very much for listening, and may the Force serve you well.